Hi. I'm back, this time to present some reflections on body count. I'm just a dizzy Scandinavian boomer, born in the mid-40s. But don't be prejudiced, Nobald, not all boomers are like that. And quite a few boomers were heavily affected by the stupidities of the 60s, so please stay, there might be something new or interesting. And please excuse my English. It's a delight to notice a rising number of men coming out of the woodwork, daring to declare that when going into a long-term relationship, they want the girl's body count to be low, or rather zero. As it should be. It's all very complicated, and the phenomenon is of course for biological reasons, but also due to our big brain and our way to build and organize complex cultural societies. You can always discuss whether it's an instinct, ingrained since millions of years, or a social construct upcoming alongside with the emergence of monogamy. In reality, it doesn't matter. The feeling of disgust against a promiscuous woman may be compared to what a Muslim may feel when forced to eat pork. Or if you and I were served, let's say, rats to eat, an adverse reaction is probably just a social construct, not very motivated from an evolutionary perspective, but still very strong. There are two other important phenomena that also can be discussed, whether it's instinct or a social construct: hypergamy, and promiscuity. Now I feel some historical background is needed. Back in the 60s, when female promiscuity slowly but steadily started off, and by time grow exponentially, men were taken by surprise. This was something new and, hitherto not accepted. Was it a good thing or was it bad, and what would it entail? More sex for all, maybe. It was not easy to predict the long-term result. Free sex for all didn't sound that bad, and why bother with moral panicking? Well, for the majority of guys it didn't mean more sex but rather less, as any red-pilled man today knows. But back then society was heavily Disney blue-pilled, so how could you know? Most guys, being nice, tried to be even more nice, which of course was the worst thing to do. There was no internet where men could discuss these matters, and the private nature withheld most from discussing them at all. Most of the affected men just hoped that the subject wouldn't arise. Many thought that it's just me being unlucky, and feeling worthless. When asked about their sexual experiences, they faked a number or multiplied their mostly low number by 3 to avoid embarrassment. And guys soon realized that a virgin was hard to find. Many thought it maybe was okay to get a girl with considerably more experience than yourself. This was also pushed by the feminists. But time has confirmed that these skewed relationships seldom work, that the woman's sexual past keep on haunting the men, and the divorce rate has skyrocketed. Today things are different. Thanks to the internet, more and more guys discuss their issues openly, and it's not longer a shame not to have sex. The tactic to shame men for not accepting girls with a sexual history, as insecure, not confident, and so on, does not work. The matter of craving a virgin is also ever more recognized on internet videos, both by men and women. More and more men just avoid women, since there are no longer any decent women. And the monosphere is growing. Most of the articles and videos on the topic, first and most emphasize on the women's lost ability to pair bond. Important as it is, I think, though, there are other aspects just as important, or even more. There are many ways to explain the importance of female low body count, or rather virginity. So let me just enumerate a few. First, and most, it's a question of honor and pride. Seeing a girl first sleeping with other men, while you have to wait, not being the first, is perceived as an offense to the honor if she later turns to you. It's an honor for a man to have a woman exclusively, and it should be mutual. But a woman may well accept a man stepping outside a relation, provided he has good genes anyway. According to the author Esther Villar, and I quote, "Honor is something women feel they can well do without." End quote. For men it is different, and as you know, you can't bribe a dog. If you offend a dog, he will remember it forever. then it's absolutely pointless to tempt him later even with the most delicious piece of candy. Likewise, if you offend a man, like neglecting him while racking up your body count with jerks, there's no way, or should be no way, you can come back later and wigwag your pussy. Second, it's a matter of disgust, not intimidation. Would you eat a burger when you know other people have spit into the slices? Or would you finish a glass of beer when you know a lot of other people have sipped and spit into the glass before? There are of course reasons for this, as for example risk of being cooked, or getting a venereal disease. Third, it's a moral thing. Let's say 100 people are invited to a party. Main attraction are 100 tasty pastries, all slightly different. When the entrance is opened, 5 to 10 people rush in and eat or taste all the pastries, so when the rest of the guests enter, they just find half-eaten cakes and crunches of dry cookies. To avoid such situations we have established laws and developed compelling moral standards. Otherwise society would not work. This is for example utmost important when it comes to a functioning economy. Without rules, and a morality to stick to the rules, we would have a rude, violent, and unpredictable society with great social differences. The question of sex and intimacy is not very different in this respect. It has to be regulated in some way, even when it affects the females. It's just not possible to have a cultural, stable society where the women can have sex, when, and with whomever they like. Something that has never been the case for the men. The feminist statement that men always slept around is a sheer lie and an excuse for women to be promiscuous. If you look into old writings, from Hammurabi to Queen Victoria, virginity was a must and pre- and extramarital sex was banned, often entailing a death penalty, for both parties, and a tarnished girl would never be married. So important was sexual moral, because they knew that if promiscuity was accepted, society would crumble. Let me sum up with some concluding thoughts. When the majority of boys already in middle and high school realize that most girls lose their virginity to the 5 to 10% top popular guys, these boys lose their hope of later building a family with a chaste decent girl. And they are already now hurled into looser fractions, hooligans, drug addicts, depressed and suicidal, lone wolves, or maybe school shooters. The best future perspective they can have is to get into a relationship with a used-up woman as a beta provider and risk getting divorce raped. Thanks for listening to the end. And remember the irrevocable requirement. No hymen, no diamond. Bye.